Hello and good morning. Welcome to Hobby Evolution, episode 243, I think. 243. It's Wednesday. Happy Hump Day. Little later today because my computer did the old update last night and it's slow to boot. So it was taking me a while to get things rolling on my computer this morning. So good morning. What's up, Zach? Who would have thought the Final Four would consist of Gonzaga, Baylor? I think we that's no surprise. But who would have thought the other two teams would be Houston and UCLA? I had UCLA losing in my bracket the play-in game to Michigan State. Who would have thought UCLA and Houston in the Final Four? And I guess Houston was a 2 seed, so that's not much of a surprise, I guess. UCLA's a shocker. And then Gonzaga, we all, I probably 95% of brackets had Gonzaga as the national champions. I did. My wife did. Does. They're the only Final Four team left on either of our brackets. We did not take Baylor. So we've got sushi on the line in our bracket challenge. What's up, Ryan, George, Mark? Good morning. My work computer always takes forever. It's trash. Yeah. Zach hasn't watched a single game. Wow. I had some of the games on. I'm like disinterested. I was really following. What's up, Brad? Good morning, Indy fan. I was really following Iowa, Illinois, obviously Wisconsin, basically the Big Ten, and they really laid an egg. So been as interested in the tournament, not watched as much. So we'll see the Final Four, like Gonzaga's rooting interest in any of the teams in the Final Four. So by the time we get to the Final Four this weekend, it's going to be baseball season. We are 1 day away. So let's see. We've got 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 6 hours. So 30 hours away from first pitch of the 2021 season. Cannot wait. Today's like an almost Friday for me. I get 2 Fridays this week because I took tomorrow off and then I'll go back to work on Friday. So Texas well represented in the Final Four. Mark, the schedule I think that has a little bit to do with my kind of like lost interest because I'm so used to that Thursday, Friday slot and Saturday, Sunday. And now it's Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. And I get it because of the bubble-ish locations all in Indianapolis and the Indianapolis area. So I get that part. But like I've been trained, like I was last week on Thursday, I was, getting my COVID shot and I'm thinking, oh, if I hurry back, I can watch this game. And then there's no games there's no games tonight. So what's up, Herman? The schedule has really thrown me off, but 30 hours away from first pitch. I cannot wait. I do have a bunch of packages. Brad, I received your PWE. I have not opened it. Mark, your package came yesterday. Thank you very much. Zach, I still have your package. So I'm going to open all of those tomorrow for opening day. So it's part of my opening day palooza. I probably have a dozen Cubs packages that I need to unbox. So that's going to be part of what I open tomorrow. I've got the 2020 complete factory sets that I'm going to break open and see what the parallels are. Let's see, what else do I have? I've got the 2 mega boxes from Topps 2021. And then I've got a mega box from Heritage High Number that I'll open. I've got 6. So I just want to open 1, keep 5 sealed, and then some blasters from 2016. Speaking of blasters, I wanted to bring that up. There was a great tweet from Ivan last night on Twitter, and he shared an unpopular opinion that blaster boxes should be $40. And I've for the last couple of years, I've been on that. Like, we're lucky. It's the MSRP of a $20 blaster is basically charity for collectors. And so the question was raised, how long have blasters been $20? And I know from my personal collecting, because where I lived, so I returned to collecting in 2012, and I lived in the middle of nowhere in Illinois. So there wasn't an LCS for, an hour and a half away. We had one Walmart, and we also had a Kmart. So that's where I had to get my blaster boxes. And so I returned to the hobby in 2012. And so I remember blaster boxes were $20, and that was across the board. Topps, Archives, Heritage, Allen and Ginter, everything was $20. And so for that range, I know back in 2006, Topps flagship blasters were $9.99. They were $10 in 2006 because I was clearing shelves of 2006 Topps blaster boxes because of the Alex Gordon error. And so there was like rumors that it was only in Midwest states. So that was like, in the description, you put, this is from a Western Illinois Walmart. Like, that's what people were doing, was like, where did this box come from? Because a lot of them were being found in like Kansas, Missouri. And I was, what's up, Dan? Good morning. And I was pretty close to the Missouri border, 45 minutes away. So that was kind of a selling point. Like, these blasters are from, the Illinois, Iowa, Missouri tri-state region. So those were $10. So I knew it was somewhere between 2006 and 2012 that blaster prices rose from 10 to $20, and they never went to 15. So I started doing some just Google image searches last night, and I found there were no prices on boxes in 2008, but then in 2009, you saw prices on the boxes, $19.99. So my thought process here is that they started putting the prices on boxes in 2009 because they did double in price from 2008 to 2009. Zach, great question. I'm going to touch on that here in a second. So that was, the big point. Like, when, and I knew it was kind of in that range. So I guess we can assume 2009, and that's that's when a Topps blaster, at least on the box, and you can Google image search, 1999 was in 2009. So we haven't had a price increase on blasters in 12 years. So we've been due, and I'm surprised it hasn't happened yet. I think $40 seems like that's another doubling in price. What we as collectors saw from 08 to 09. And that's also interesting timing on that, because that was, what happened in 08, 09? Our economy crashed. So it's interesting on the timing on that. So I think we've been due for a couple years for a minor price increase. I think blaster prices coming into the hobby boom of 2020 should have already been increased to $25 and probably $30. And then I think we should have seen another increase in 2021 because of what we've been seeing at retail. Long lines. Now there's just been so much, I don't even bother anymore going to find, and that's how I collected, was buying retail. So I get the frustration. Like, I want to go into Walmart or Target and buy some baseball cards. I get it. I grew up in a rural area where it was an hour drive plus to get to a local card shop. So I get that frustration. I think the prices should have already been on the rise, so that $30 to $40 increase isn't so hard to swallow. But we've been so finely tuned to $20 blasters for over a decade now that, a price increase is, crazy talk. So Zach brings up a great question. How many cards are in a blaster? And somebody in the thread commented that asked basically the same question and said it felt like it felt like a hobby box when you picked up a blaster box in the mid 2000s. So now my research is just on Topps flagship blasters. And I do understand, because if you pick up a Topps 2021 Topps blaster box, and you pick up a 2021 Topps Heritage blaster box, or Topps Chrome, or Ginter, any other product, that Topps blaster box feels like a brick compared to the other blasters because there's so many more cards in it. You get about 100 cards. And they've actually scaled it back just a few cards, because I remember it used to be like on the box 101 cards, because there were, I think, 10 packs of 10 in years past, plus your manufactured relics. So you'd get 101 cards in a Topps flagship blaster. So I did the research and went back. So blaster boxes in, I think I used 2005 or 2000, I think 2005. So blaster boxes, you had, I thought I wrote it down, I didn't, but it was 11 packs of 6 cards, and it had on the box 66 cards per blaster. Today's blaster has, I think, 99 cards, 98 cards plus the manufactured relics. So there's actually more cards in today's blasters than what there was in 2005. Now remember, 2005 blasters were also only $10. Today's blasters are $20. So that price per card is today 20 cents, whereas in 2005, you were only paying 15 cents per card. So we're getting more cards today than what we were in 15 years ago in a blaster, but we're also paying more per card for the contents of that blaster. So just it was for me, I'm a nerd about this stuff. So to go back and research like prices and contents of blasters was fun, and it was kind of a blast from the past, because I largely didn't collect in that era. Basically from I dabbled when I moved after I finished college the first time. I dabbled in cards just I was in a new city, bored, and that's actually how I got when I moved to Wisconsin. That's how this happened. I got bored. I was in a new city, didn't know anybody. So this was my Friday night. I came back into the hobby in like 2003, 4, just kind of dabbled. And then by 2005, 6, I, from college, got into a little credit card debt. So I had all of the stuff. I was buying and selling a ton on eBay in the late 90s, when I was still in high school, using Web TV. Remember that? So my eBay account through Web TV, and I had bought, and I still have some of the stuff that I bought. I kept a few Cubs. I sold like everything to pay off my credit card debt from college. But I kept my Ty Griffin autographed baseball, and it still looks good 20 plus years later. And a Manny Alexander game used bat. Those are the only 2 things I still have from like my original Cubs collection of the late 90s. And I probably have a couple other items, I don't know, but those are the 2 that stick to mind. So then I got back in. So I created an eBay store. I was using Turbo Lister back in that day. This is 2005, 2006. And then the whole Alex Gordon thing. So I wasn't opening boxes in 2006. I was just flipping them. I was a retail flipper, and nobody else. I could go into Walmart in the winter of 2006 when Topps comes out. I could go to Walmart any time of day or night, and there would be an entire shelf of cards all the time. I was like the only person buying them, and then I'd sell them on eBay for $40. And shipping back then was a lot cheaper. So I'm a flipper, Brad. I was a flipping flipper. So I was flipping those blasters. So that was that was the blaster story. Dan wants a Dempster story, so I have a better Dempster story than what I can talk about with PSA. So I'll just touch on PSA for a moment. They discontinued submissions, which I think is an awesome idea. And I think generally across the board, people are happy with that decision because it stops that backlog. It's like they finally put a plug in the drain, and they're gonna slow things down and get caught up. So I think that was an excellent move on their part. I don't grade, so I really don't have a strong opinion either way. Personally, I think that probably should have been done months ago, but hey, they did it, and that's good. So I think that's good for all parties involved, especially PSA, so they can get caught up. It also brings about an opportunity for some of the other companies to maybe get some new customers and retain some potential new customers that come over from PSA in that void. So I think it's good for the other grading companies. It's good for PSA, and it's good for collectors, so they don't submit and have to wait 2 years instead of 1 year already. Good morning, Jenny. PSA suspended grading, yeah, which is great. So PSA turned into Bo with that credit card debt. At some point, you need to put the shovel down and stop digging. Absolutely, fix the problem. Yeah, it was a great move by PSA. So one more thing. Dan asks about a Ryan Dempster story. So I will share my Ryan Dempster story from last spring training. So actually there's two stories about Dempster regarding or at my spring training trip. So I don't know if any Cubs fans follow Crawley. Crawley's Cub Kingdom on Twitter. Awesome dude. We become really, really good friends over the last few years. And we were out at spring training together last March, February, March. And so we're hanging out on the so at Sloan Park in Mesa, they have Sloan Park, and then next to Sloan Park, there's like a walkway, and then there's like the BP area, and that's like it's kind of like the big league practice field. And then they have the complex right next to it. And then on the other side of the complex is the minor league, the backfields where the minor league workouts take place. So Crawley and I, and John from Cubs Insider, we're hanging out at BP, and like Schwarber's taking cracks, Ian Happ, some other, major Cubs players. So we're watching those, and I look over my shoulder because I'm like getting autographs and stuff. And so I look over my shoulder and I see Ryan Dempster is sitting in the lawn with one of the either beat reporters or Cubs bloggers. So I told Crawley, I'm like, hey, there's Dempster. So we just kind of kept an eye, obviously we weren't going to go interrupt. So just kind of kept an eye on what was going on. And when they started to move, we walked over, and so a week before this, Dempster had tweeted about finding his old baseball cards, and Crawley responded to the tweet, you should get the Cubs cards to 1 million Cubs, and tagged me on Twitter. So we walk over, and Dempster's familiar with Crawley, and we walk over and say hi, and Dempster looks at Crawley, and he goes, oh, hey, I've got to get those cards. I've got to get those cards to that guy. And I looked up at him and I go, I'm that guy. So we had a laugh, and that was good. That was good. I did not get those cards, by the way. And then, so it was actually probably later that day or the next day, we jumped in with the Heckler. And so we know Brad from the Heckler. And so we just kind of tagged along with their group for a Sloan Park private tour. And so we're up on like the concourse, and the tour guide is talking, and all of a sudden there's a guy that starts scaling the fence trying to get into Sloan Park. So the tour, and everybody knows who it is, it's Ryan Dempster. So the tour guide doesn't realize it's Ryan Dempster, and he starts, hey, you can't, no, you can't be. And so he's like about ready to call the cops or security, and everybody's like, no, it's Ryan Dempster. So Dempster scales the fence to get in to Sloan Park, and then he comes up and he starts telling some stories, and he spent like 10 minutes with us. So one of the stories he told was in his playing days, him and Ted Lilly were riding their bikes to, and this was when they trained at Hohokam, where the Oakland A's are now at. So this is before Sloan Park. So they are riding their bikes to Hohokam for game day or practice or whatever, and they get pulled over by the cops. And so Ted Lilly's name, and I'm going to butcher the story. So I think Ted Lilly's given name is Theodore Roosevelt Lilly. Theodore Roosevelt Lilly. And I'll have to go back and double check that. But so they have to hand over their driver's licenses to the cop, and the cop either isn't a Cubs fan, has no idea who these guys are, or doesn't care. So he's kind of giving these Ryan Dempster and Ted Lilly a hard time. This cop is, and so the cop says, you know, what's your name? And he said, Ted Lilly. And the cop said, I can't remember how the story all played out, but he said something to the effect of, say it slower, or slower or something. And he goes, Ted Lilly, something to that effect. So that was the story that he told. They did not get a ticket. They did not get written up, but Dempster was not happy with how it all played out. And Ted Lilly was kind of, I guess Ted was pretty annoyed and was being a little sarcastic as he was getting grilled by the officer. So that's my Ryan Dempster stories. I'll have to go back and check on. I think I may have written that story up in a blog, so I probably butchered the story, and I can't remember what Ted Lilly's given name. I'm gonna Google that real quick. I have an update on my computer, so it actually is going faster. Wow. Yeah, so Ted Lilly's real name is Theodore Roosevelt Lilly III. So I think the cop was I think what happened was the cop was questioning because his driver's license says Theodore Roosevelt Lilly, and so I think the cop was questioning him and asked him to spell it out or something, and he was, he was kind of playing a game with him, I guess. So yeah, Ted Lilly's given name is Theodore Roosevelt Lilly, the third. So so there you go. So those are my Dempster stories. That's fun to talk about. Thanks, Dan, for asking. Jenny asked, do I grade cards? I do not. I do plan at some point in the future to submit pre-war Cubs cards to SGC just to have them slabbed. I used to buy raw tobacco cards in pre-war, but now I've especially now with the boom, it makes me nervous. So I have a couple that I have, like a Joe Tinker T206 that I want to get just authenticated just to make sure. And there's some others that they look good in slabs, and I really like the look of SGC slabs. So those are some things that I want to send in. My Cubs cards are so disorganized. I still have 12 unopened trade packages that are sitting out in my rec room that I'll be opening tomorrow. So everything basically, I get asked a lot, like, how do you organize your collection? I don't. I look up and I have boxes by last name, but most of them are largely disorganized because so many cards come in that I just don't have the time to sort. Now with the eBay sales and store going, that's kind of my focus. So that's where I'm at, where everything is just disorganized. It's chaos. So to find, and that was kind of tripped me up for like going to Cubs convention. I like to have some cards on hand for like autographs, and I'm going through and it's like, okay, this guy's gonna be here, this guy's gonna be here, but if they're not in my labeled boxes, then I have to go digging through random boxes, and it can be quite the trick. So what's up, Diego? Thank you. So that's it for today. I'm running into Brad's time space, so I'm gonna go brew some coffee and get warmed up for Texas Card Dude. So check out Brad on his channel, Texas Card Dude. Thanks for chatting. Good stuff, and we'll talk tomorrow.